In an astonishing turn of events that has sent shockwaves across the globe, the United States has just executed a daring nuclear strike against 3 strategically significant Chinese nuclear bases. This audacious move comes in response to China's alleged support for Russia in its ongoing conflict with Ukraine, raising tensions to unprecedented levels. As the dust settles over the targeted locations, the world grapples with the implications of this bold military action and what it means for the future of global security. Join us as we delve into the details of this groundbreaking event, exploring its causes, consequences, and the potential ramifications for the international community. The United States has launched an unprecedented attack on 3 separate Chinese nuclear bases in a bold move that has shocked the world. As the smoke clears from the strikes, the true extent of the damage inflicted on these critical military targets remains shrouded in mystery. But one thing is certain: the balance of power between the U.S. and China has been irrevocably altered. This surprise military action comes as tensions between the 2 superpowers have reached a boiling point over China's alleged support for Russia during its conflict in Ukraine. The U.S. has long accused Beijing of providing material aid and financial assistance to Moscow, claims that China has consistently denied. However, in a dramatic escalation of hostilities, the U.S. decided to take matters into its own hands and deliver a resounding message directly to the heart of China's military capabilities. But why did the United States choose to target China's nuclear bases? What strategic advantage could be gained by striking at the very core of China's nuclear deterrent? And how will China respond to this audacious display of military might? These are the pressing questions on the minds of many as the world watches anxiously for China's retaliation. At this pivotal moment in history, it is crucial that we understand the motives behind the U.S. strikes and the potential consequences that lie ahead. Only then can we truly grasp the seismic shift in global power dynamics that is currently underway. So let's dive deeper into the events that transpired and explore the far-reaching implications of this historic nuclear attack. The audacity of the U.S. military's actions is evident when examining the strategic importance of the targeted nuclear bases. Each location holds immense significance in terms of China's nuclear arsenal and overall military strength. By striking at these sites, the U.S. has dealt a severe blow to China's national security and defense capabilities. One of the primary objectives of any nation's nuclear arsenal is deterrence. China's nuclear weapons program serves as a critical component of its strategy to safeguard its national interests and protect its citizens from potential threats. The recent attacks on China's nuclear bases have directly compromised this vital aspect of China's defense posture. Moreover, these strikes have undoubtedly inflicted substantial damage on China's military infrastructure. Nuclear bases are highly sophisticated facilities that require extensive resources and planning to construct and maintain. The destruction or disruption of these bases will have a profound impact on China's ability to effectively utilize its nuclear assets. The timing of the strikes also carries significant weight. By launching the attacks when tensions were already high due to the conflict in Ukraine, the U.S. has effectively amplified the global security crisis. This bold move has raised concerns about the potential for further escalation and the possibility of a wider conflict engulfing other nations. China's response to the strikes remains a critical point of focus for the international community. As the dust settles and the true extent of the damage becomes clear, the world watches intently to gauge China's reaction. Will China exercise restraint, or will it retaliate with force, potentially triggering a larger conflict with unforeseen consequences? As we continue to monitor this rapidly evolving situation, it is essential to understand the broader implications of these attacks on the global balance of power. The targeting of Chinese nuclear bases represents a drastic escalation in tensions between the U.S. and China, 2 nations that hold significant influence on the world stage. The aftermath of these strikes has left many questioning the stability of the international order and the future of diplomacy between these superpowers. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the potential for even the smallest miscalculation to trigger a catastrophic global conflict. As the world grapples with the repercussions of the U.S. strikes on Chinese nuclear bases, it is crucial to examine the potential consequences for the global balance of power. This audacious move has shattered the existing equilibrium and opened up a Pandora's box of uncertainties for the international community. One immediate consequence of these strikes is the heightened risk of nuclear proliferation. By targeting another nation's nuclear facilities, the U.S. has set a dangerous precedent that could embolden other countries seeking to develop their own nuclear weapons programs. This action may also provoke a response from allies and partners of China, further destabilizing the region and increasing the likelihood of a nuclear arms race. Furthermore, these strikes have undoubtedly strained diplomatic relations between the U.S. and China to their breaking point. The level of mistrust and hostility has reached unprecedented levels, making meaningful dialogue and cooperation between the two nations seem like a distant prospect. This breakdown in communication channels increases the risk of miscalculation and accidental escalation, raising the specter of a larger conflict. As the world reels from the impact of these attacks, it is essential to consider the potential economic repercussions. The targeting of nuclear bases, which are significant contributors to a nation's energy needs, could disrupt the supply of essential resources. The resulting economic fallout could have devastating consequences for both the U.S. and China, as well as the global economy. Trade routes could be disrupted, supply chains could collapse, and financial markets could experience unprecedented volatility. In conclusion, the U.S. strikes on Chinese nuclear bases represent a monumental shift in the global balance of power with far-reaching consequences for the international community. The targeting of these critical military installations has not only amplified tensions between the U.S. and China, but has also raised serious concerns about nuclear proliferation, strained diplomatic relations, and the potential for economic disruption. As the world grapples with the repercussions of these strikes, it is crucial that all parties exercise restraint and seek peaceful resolutions to their differences. The targeting of Chinese nuclear bases marks a perilous escalation in an already volatile geopolitical landscape. The path ahead remains uncertain and fraught with peril, underscoring the urgent need for diplomacy and de-escalation to prevent further hostilities. We must all hope that cooler heads will prevail and that this dangerous trajectory will be reversed before it's too late. The U.S. Navy is facing an intense nuclear threat from China after it conducted a series of retaliatory strikes on Chinese nuclear bases. As tensions soar between the two superpowers, the U.S. Navy finds itself at the forefront of a military standoff that could escalate at any moment. China's nuclear response poses a grave danger to the U.S. Navy's presence in the region. The U.S. Navy must now brace for a potential nuclear onslaught, forcing them to take swift and decisive action to defend against incoming nuclear attacks. The stakes have never been higher as the U.S. Navy races against time to safeguard its assets and personnel from the imminent threat of Chinese nuclear weapons. The U.S. Navy's top priority is the safety and well-being of its personnel. In light of the heightened nuclear threat, the Navy has implemented stringent safety protocols to protect its sailors and officers. These measures include the establishment of hardened shelters, the distribution of nuclear, biological, and chemical defense equipment, and the implementation of rigorous training exercises to prepare personnel for various nuclear scenarios. In addition to prioritizing the safety of its people, the U.S. Navy is taking proactive steps to safeguard its advanced warships and cutting-edge fighter jets. These platforms are not only vital for maintaining military superiority, but also serve as deterrents against further aggression. The Navy is employing a combination of defensive and offensive measures such as electronic warfare systems, anti-missile defense technologies, and precision-guided munitions to counter the threat posed by Chinese nuclear weapons. However, the effectiveness of these defensive measures remains uncertain in the face of a large-scale nuclear assault. A barrage of nuclear missiles could overwhelm the U.S. Navy's defenses, leaving them vulnerable to the devastating consequences of a direct nuclear hit. The potential for collateral damage, including the destruction of critical infrastructure and the release of harmful substances, adds another layer of complexity to the challenges faced by the U.S. Navy. Furthermore, the psychological impact of living under the constant threat of nuclear attack cannot be overlooked. The emotional toll on sailors and officers is immense as they grapple with the fear of imminent death and the potential for long-lasting health effects. Maintaining morale and ensuring the mental well-being of the crew amidst such uncertainty is a critical challenge for the U.S. Navy. As the U.S. Navy confronts this daunting nuclear threat, it is imperative that they remain vigilant, adaptable, and resolute in their defense of American interests. The coming days will undoubtedly be filled with anxiety and peril as the Navy strives to protect its assets and personnel from the shadow of nuclear destruction. Only time will tell whether the U.S. Navy can successfully navigate this perilous situation and emerge stronger on the other side, or if China's nuclear retaliation will prove too formidable to overcome. Following the U.S. nuclear strikes on China, there is growing concern about the possibility of World War III. The global community is on edge as the actions taken by the U.S. threaten to ignite a catastrophic global conflict. The strike on Chinese nuclear bases has shattered any remaining trust between the U.S. and China, deepening the divide and intensifying the existing rivalry. This breakdown in diplomatic relations has raised fears that the world could be on the brink of a third world war, a conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. The rapid escalation of hostilities between the two superpowers has left many questioning the stability of the international order and the effectiveness of diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation. The absence of meaningful dialogue and the growing animosity between the U.S. and China have contributed to a climate of fear and uncertainty, making it difficult to foresee a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As the global community grapples with the potential implications of World War III, several scenarios have been put forward by experts and analysts. Some argue that the conflict will primarily be confined to a cyber domain, with both sides engaging in acts of digital warfare and espionage. Others predict a more conventional approach with military buildup and strategic alliances playing a pivotal role. However, the specter of nuclear war looms large over all these predictions. The U.S. and China possess formidable nuclear arsenals capable of causing widespread destruction. The mere possibility of nuclear weapons being deployed has sent shockwaves around the world, reminding us of the catastrophic consequences of such a conflict. Moreover, the involvement of key allies and partners cannot be ignored. Nations around the world are compelled to choose sides, forming alliances and strengthening partnerships to secure their interests. This polarization has the potential to drag the entire globe into a maelstrom of violence and destruction. In the face of these daunting prospects, it is essential that all parties prioritize diplomacy, de-escalation, and peaceful resolution. The international community must come together to urge the U.S. and China to engage in meaningful dialogue, find common ground, and chart a path toward a more stable and secure future. The world cannot afford another devastating global war. We must strive to learn from the mistakes of the past and work tirelessly to prevent the horrors of World War III from becoming a reality. As the situation between the U.S. and China continues to deteriorate, it is crucial to stay informed about the latest developments. To ensure you have all the necessary information, please subscribe to our channel and become a member of our community. By subscribing, you will receive timely updates on the most significant events shaping our world, allowing you to better understand the complexities of this evolving crisis. We encourage you to join our growing community of engaged citizens who value knowledge, critical thinking, and informed discussions. Together, we can navigate these turbulent times and work toward a brighter and more peaceful future.